Wow, I just happened to adventure onto a real human being and had a nice little talk with him and found out that he is the caretaker at Tokeen. It's a small protected cove along the El Capitan Passage. It's a fairly protected area, but we're going to see some kelp here that indicates that we're getting out to open water. This is where the caretaker is living, but you can see at one time they had quite an infrastructure here. The plan is to reach White Cliff Island. And to do that, I need to take a right turn at the second island up here. There's a lot to see along the way. Occasionally I'll see one of these guys, a floating fishing cabin. Doesn't look like anybody's home today. Here's a buddy.
Go up there.
I'm going to see a few of these guys along the way.
Maybe we spot him here a little bit.
And here's another one.
Is he making a noise?
He's not standing around long. But you've got to be careful where he goes. He just might have made a mistake. I think he did. It's a raven tree. And that eagle's paying the price. You hear that noise? Oh, that's the fishing boat. Way back to harbor. And this be campsite number 2 in this leg of the adventure. Right next to the water in a protected cove with a nice view looking across to Eagle Island. Nice and dry right now, and I wish it would stay that way, but it's morning time. You can see from the lens that it is a little bit inclement, but not bad. It could be worse. Even though it is a little damp, there is a lot to see. And you can tell by looking at the tide zone here that the tide's out. And the starfish are exposed in great numbers. And we're also getting out to more open water and more kelp. Well, I've left the passage and now in Sea Otter Sound, but unfortunately I haven't seen any sea otters. But the good news is I've found White Cliff Island and its beautiful white sandy shores. Yeah, this cove looks pretty protected. even though it's right close to the open waters of the Sound. And wouldn't you know it, the cove is occupied by a little resident here. It's a river otter. And I don't think he's going to give up his cove very easily. I might have to fight him for it. Well, this is home for a couple of days. Always nice to get out of the elements. And I'm trying to keep my warming fire going. That's going to be important. I found a good water source, not far from camp. And you gotta see this tree clinging to life on the top of this rock, just out of the reach of the high tide zone. And you can say that that tree is experiencing good discipline. Boy, look at the kelp around this place. They know how to do kelp. Now here's quite the friendly bird. He's quick. And this Alaskan doesn't seem to be fazed at all by this rain. It's time to hit the open water again. As usual, there's plenty to see.
Quite a ways.
Today I'm being entertained by, you can see, none other than humpback whales.
He's hyperventilating here. He's moving north. Except that would have been right where I'd be crossing if I hadn't moved over and but it doesn't. He's really hyperventilating. Well, voice as far as I can tell. Very good. Up you went. Who's talking to? Well, go ashore and make a phone call. I'm just about. Flora of the rainforest. Yeah, there it is, all ready for load up. This is the town of Kayak, the back harbor anyway.
And here's a fishing resort in action in Craig, Alaska. It's around noontime and the morning charter is just returning with a load of salmon and halibut. They load it in the ice chest and then they unload it onto the weighing machine. A nice looking halibut right there. And then that halibut's getting filleted and probably going to get boxed up and frozen and sent back to wherever the customer wants it. This guy's eyeing the filleting table and the leftovers there. I've rented a vehicle and I'm taking the kayak and myself up to the northern part of Prince of Wales Island, and we're going to explore an area up there. There's a lot of these pretty creeks along the way. This one here you can see is actually emptying into one of the inland passages. Well, that's Mount Calder underneath those clouds. I've been trying to catch it when it's not cloud covered. I'm going to keep trying, and well, this is a little better, but it's still pretty well covered. I'm going to keep trying to find it when it's not cloud covered. But actually, we've finally gotten up to northern part of the island, and we're at Lab Bay. That is me and my kayak. I haven't seen too many people around these parts here. I'm preparing here for a little day kayak around Lab Harbor and eventually exploring out into some of the open waters of Clarence Strait. You can see here that I'm not wasting any time. This scenic harbor is well protected, even though it's right off of the Strait of Clarence. There's also a lot of quality islands and beaches in this area. It used to be an active logging camp. And you can see there are some residual remains from that. This was the only floating house that I saw in the area that it doesn't look like the fisherman's home. Again, we're seeing parts of Mount Calder, all 3,370 feet of it. Too bad we can't see all of it. And we've got some more wildlife in the distance. And they're definitely around, especially since there's a good-sized fishing fleet just north of here at Port Protection. And I'm sure these birds stay in close contact with those fishermen. I'm about ready to adventure out into Clarence Strait. And in the distance there you can see some mountains, 5,000 foot high, ones that rise up above Sitka, Alaska on Baranof Island. I'm out in the strait, and you can see that this section of the island is definitely exposed to the elements. And with that comes a lot of these pockets of kelp. And wouldn't you know it, there's some humpbacks. Where there's open water, it seems like they're loving it. Hugging the shore on their way north. And here's a nice looking sea cave. I don't think it goes very far in. But you can see there's some bird life starting to show up. And these guys would be the famous ox of Alaska, the UK. And they're really pretty with their white spots. Well, I'm back in the protected harbor. I'm looking for a nice spot to land and take a break. I'm thinking I'm finding some nice little beaches just off of the strait. Get a nice view of those high mountains above Sitka. Those mountains aren't the only view I've got on this spot. As I look around, there's flowers. It's like an Indian paintbrush. I don't even know what that one is. And that's a shooting star. And columbine again. It doesn't get much better than this. So with that, it's time to get back in the kayak and head back to the landing. And I'm definitely not holding back. Hey! Yes! And here's Mount Calder in all its glory. As I drive around, there's always unique areas that catch your eye, like the sign that says Cave. So I have to explore El Capitan Cave. But to do that, it's got to get climbed. Not an easy thing to do. A lot of stairs, but there's views. a section of El Capitan Pass with all its beautiful islands. Finally, we get to the cave. Yep, let's check it out. I wonder what's in here. Pretty dark. I wonder if it drove. I'm okay. Whoa. With that adventure behind me, boy, that was a deep one. I think it's time to hit the stairs. And that means no dilly-dallying. An area like this deserves a beautiful church in the woods. And not far away is the view of the small community of Whale Pass. Whenever you look around, it seems the wildlife is always there. This guy has got a nice salmon on the line. Look at that fight. Oh, and they're jumping. Whoa, look at that quality. And not bad size. That'll fit a pen. And from the bridge upstream here is that bird's eye view of what's happening. If you take a closer look at the action, we find that there's a lot of those little salmon heading upstream, just swimming their little hearts out. And we can't end out the video without a bear encounter. Just check this alder nook out here with the balls included.